this chat. Turn down my phone.
It says I'm in here, but I don't see anything yet. There we go.
Ooh.
Oh, we got line noise?
Ooh.
Oh, I know why. Ha ha! We used to be prepared.
No line noise.
Don't worry about it.
Young Spacehead, what's going on, bro? Mar 4 Beats, what's going on, yo? Wenzo. Someone said.
Wenzo.
They said Deacon Focus.
Hey.
Deacon Focus.
Deacon. Hold on, we working on that buzz and feedback. Young Oracle is.
I'm over this jump in Radio Shack. Uh-oh. Slow down, Circuit City. I got you.
He said Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear, that was a good one. I like that one.
Points.
Mad Buzz and y'all in the barbershop. Super Duper J. What about now?
You said there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds clear.
Sounds clear.
We're out the barbershop. Shout out to Super Duper J, man.
Yo, shout out to my phone making mad noise.
We in here with the super legend, man. Young Focus3dots. Let me pin the young.
Bow.
There we
All right,
go.
look, hey.
What
damn
is
it.
What is it?
Mad notifications. People want to notify me
Notification.
at the wrong time. Bam. We in here.
Hey, all right. Just be man, no DJ. What's good, bro?
What's happening with you? All right, man. Without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into this show. We're gonna do all the theme and all that, so we can get straight into talking to the newly dubbed Deacon Focus. All right, here we go.
You are now watching the UnQuantized podcast. Tune in on Instagram,
Alright,
YouTube,
I beat you to it. I'll be with y'all in just a second. I'm a little preoccupied. Man.
That could happen, man.
Man, what up, everybody? In case you don't know, in case you've been under a rock, or in case you call yourself a producer but you don't know much about your craft, we're sitting here with a certified legend. We're sitting here with the champ. He's looking behind himself, but he can't find a bigger legend in the room than himself. We're in here with none other than Young Focus3dots. Yes, sir. What's
Man,
up?
ever since y'all been doing this, man, I've been trying to come and kick in the door. I had to fly out here.
Hey, man.
So, and we're late. It's my fault. I had to find his house. His house is behind guarded shacks.
Oh, yeah.
Different security guards. You have to go through different levels to get to him. He's closer to heaven than the other people.
You gotta fight the end level?
You gotta get to the final level to get to him.
After the moat, it's a breed.
I was just about to say the alligators in the boat. It
Nah,
me out,
nah,
bro,
it's-
every time.
It was the sharks with
With
the
the
lasers.
lasers.
You know what it
The
is.
lasers, man.
They were shooting me. I was like,
Am
yeah.
I going the right way?
Oh, man. Y'all ain't shit. Anyway.
I saw Obama on the way. I was like, hey, man, where does he live?
He's like,
He
hey.
was the one that told me where you lived at.
He was like, hey, that moat's a bitch. Lost shell back there. Oh, she makes it. Oh, man. What's good, everybody, man? And what's good, man? Thanks for coming out,
Oh
man.
my goodness, I'm honored, bro.
Man, I appreciate you, bro.
Y'all be giving everybody the good. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think the first time I met you was at an Odd Standard event, maybe like 4 years ago. I don't really be, you know.
just listen to this.
I seen the dude. I was like, that is Young Focus. 3dots. Holy shit! It's just, and I'm like, I was with my wife too. She was like, who? I was like, look at this Instagram. I saw her Instagram video. I mean, YouTube video of you, right? I'm like, you know, I could just go over there and talk to the dude, but you need to see this video so you can see how great this dude is,
Oh
man.
my God.
And yeah, you were actually one of the first people to do a YouTube video making beats that I remember.
And I'm told that I wasn't really a big part of that video except making the beat, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
It was a friend of mine that was just like, man, I just really want to shoot you making a beat, and I'm gonna put it up there, and that was spityourgame.com. He was just like, yeah, he was like, man, I'm gonna make you look good, man, because it took me about an hour to get the beat like up and rolling. I was working with Nicole Ray at the time.
Oh, flex.
And yeah, and it was funny because that's who I was talking to. Like it was her and her manager, and I was like, yo, y'all want me to go crazy? What do y'all want? Blah blah blah. And so when she answered me, I just went off. But it was like there's a lot of kids now that are just like, dude, you know, for years I studied that video, and I'm like, nah, I didn't realize. Yeah, that's a blessing, man. That's a huge blessing.
Yeah, man. Yo, shout out to you for that, man.
I appreciate it.
So, all right, now let's pinpoint where you are actually from.
Okay.
Because you are known for working with Dr. Dre. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yep.
And you were out here. I met you. You were living out here.
Yep.
And now you are currently living in Cali.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you actually from? Or you just like an army brat of music and you're like from everywhere?
Well, now being as old as I am, I can claim that I'm pretty much from everywhere because I've done enough time. But I'm born from New York, bred in the tri-state area, mostly Stamford, Connecticut. I went to school out there through high school, and then I moved out in '91, and I started my trek between California and Atlanta. So yeah, I pretty much like my home is where my family's at, you know.
Ah, got you. By the way, y'all looking like the Huxtables.
Yeah, that's
you got a pretty big family, bro. I think, how many kids you got now? Like 10, 12?
Ooh, yikes. I have 5. My 2 older kids are gonna be 24 and 22 this year, which is amazing. And they're amazing kids. And then I have 3 beautiful little babies. I might as well call them, but they're 9, 8, and 5.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it almost is like starting all over again. But my kids are super, super dope.
Beautiful family, man. Every
Thank
time
you,
I
man.
see y'all, I'm like, yeah, that's a beautiful
My
family.
wife gotta stop looking so good. I mean, you know.
Hey, man,
That's what makes.
They
Yeah,
never
that's,
do
that's
that.
what I'm saying.
They never do
Yeah.
that, bro.
If her face fell off, then I'd be like, all right, no more kids.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
They'll never do that. They going good. We all gonna be dead. They still gonna be looking good.
My wife get out the shower, be like, hey, girl.
So
Just walking around, hey, man,
Stop it, girl.
stop.
No more daggone kids.
Now, I know you said you moved around, you came from tri-state, and then you came to Atlanta and California. How important do you think moving and like being where the action is important to like your career?
It was everything. If I would have got roots and stayed in New York, I would have been one in the rat race.
Mm-hmm.
When I gave myself wings and flew, because that was a scary period. Like I didn't have a manager or anybody really rolling with me at the time. I was trusting this one cat that I was working with, and when I came out to LA, it was a harsh learning experience. But if I didn't leave New York, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Even at that moment, if I would have done it any later, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I know that was, you said 91, right? Or around that time?
Yes.
How important do you think it is now, like location is now versus in 91?
It's not as important because the internet is popping. You know, like you can be everywhere and anywhere at any given moment. It just depends on your grind. Like it still comes down to grind. It
Right.
still comes down to your work ethic. But I mean, you can be anywhere. Like any kid in France can hit me right now and get a placement with Dre if they have what it takes. You know what I'm saying? That's real talk. But it is one of those things. Like a lot of people, I think the real question is where are people's heads at as far as music is concerned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's cool to be where you need to be, but are you making what needs to be made? And there's a lot of people that want to follow the trend instead of just making something original or making something that's a breath of fresh air. You know, so that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, well, that's really a good conversation. Well, you kind of touched on it. It seems like now originality and authenticity is not really stressed as much.
No.
In the general public, but you're in a different circle of people. You're in a higher echelon of people.
Mm-hmm.
So in that circle that you're in, is that really is that still a thing? Do people still look for that in your circle?
Working around the people that I've been blessed to work around, they know that I'm not going to run of the mill anything. So they kind of expect me to go left when everybody's going right. They expect me to go right when everybody's going left. they expect me to go to the center if everybody's going right and left. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like they expect it. I don't think it's one of those things that I wake up in the morning and overthink or underthink. I just am who I am creatively. Same thing with you. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not one of those things that becomes a conversation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we just get up and we rock out, and if that's what's on my heart, that's what I make. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Because it's one thing we try to like. I feel like with younger producers, it's not. I know at least when I was starting, everybody that I looked up to had a different sound.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I don't think now it's not as important anymore. But do you feel like you being able to zig when everybody else is zagging, do you feel like that helps you stand out more? Do you feel like that adds to your career as a producer?
I think there were. That's a great question. I think that a lot of things that I did that maybe they would be frowned upon now. Anonymity had a lot to do with where I am right now, because a lot of people didn't know who I was. They didn't know what I looked like. They didn't know, like, there were people that were taking credit for my beats, like literally having meetings on, like, the record I did for 112. They're going and having publishing meetings because nobody knew what Focus looked like. You know what I'm saying? So I'm finding out because, again, being a blessing, I met a lot of the executives that started moving up in publishing and A&R spots and stuff like that, and they knew who I was. They just, you know, so they would call me and be like, yo, I'm sitting here with a dude that said he's you. He's like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's a real deal.
Yeah, so I think that right now, I don't know. We're in a really different spot with music, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
Really different spot. I wish there were a lot more talks about creativity. And I think that that's where it just we start losing that connection because we start talking technical, we start talking about placements, we talk about everything that creativity can get you to. But nobody wants to talk about creativity because that means you have to stand out on a limb by yourself and do something that you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to stand out there and take the bullets if people hate it. And not everybody, I know that was hard for me. I don't know about you. I don't know about you. Yeah.
I don't know. And by watching you make videos, every now and again I see you go live, and there's a certain joy I feel, and it looks like you feel that too. A certain joy in knowing that you're doing the different thing, or you're not chasing the trend. And people like that, you work with a lot of people like Anderson,
Yeah.
for that matter, just off on their own thing, and people like that seem to be happier,
Freer
to me. Yeah, it's a certain freedom that comes with it, and I just don't understand why more people just don't adopt that. I think people really want to get to the bag or the success, and they just see what somebody else did. That was appearing to be the easiest way to go, and that's the route that they take to try to get to the success.
1000%.
But damn, you miss that freedom and that fun on the way, man.
There's
Jeez.
nothing like smiling when you make something.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like that.
I felt good to
Yeah,
hear that.
you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing like it.
Wow. That's super.
And so, like, working with like people like Anderson, who's like super musically talented. To me, when I look at Anderson, I'm like, not mad, but it's just like, yo, why are you so good at this, bro? Like, you ever see somebody? He played the drums. He's never misses a beat.
Sing, yeah.
It's like, it's incredible.
He's a metronome.
So, exactly. So when you're working with someone like that, what is your process of like coming up with stuff? Do y'all just vibe out? Is it just a jam session and y'all just come up with stuff?
Again, all of it is a blessing being in the rooms, but Anderson is a force.
Right.
That's not some place that I walk in and try to overstay my welcome or understate my existence in the room. You know what I'm saying? So the one and only time that we actually got to create all together was when we made Cheers. That was the only time, because Ventura, all I did was help in the mix part of that. You know what I'm saying? So there's really no production from me. You know what I'm saying? But Anderson is just like Dre. Like, they're both grand orchestrators. And when we did Cheers, it was Dre, Q-Tip, and a bunch of the team was there. and Anderson and Dre were kind of dictating the pulse of the room. You know what I'm saying? So it's just you jump in where you can.
Dope. Speaking of Drake, because people are dying to know this, so we might as well just get straight to it.
Okay.
How?
Nope. No.
How did you initially get with Dr. Dre? Like, how did that work out?
My homie Jason Weaver, big shout out to him.
Wow.
Yeah. We were working together in Los Angeles. So when he was doing Smart Guy, I was working with his co-star Omar Gooding.
Wow.
So I was doing production for him. All showed him some of the stuff and brought me to the set and was like, "Yo, y'all should link." We did some records together out there, and then Jay was like, "Yo, I'm making a production company in Atlanta," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." He was like, "If you want, you can come out there and I'll show you what's up." And so I came out as his producer under his company called Bootu. He took Bootu and signed it to Shakespeare Productions. So that's how I started getting to work with various people. And then one of the acts that he had signed to Bootu was this kid named Dax. And Dax's people had ins to Dre. And so we did a whole demo together. And it got over to Dre. And Dre was like, "Yeah, I dig what y'all are doing. If you're about that work, I'm looking for new producers." And so that's how I got in there.
And when was that?
Late 2000, early 2001. It was right when he did the movie The Wash, because that was the first thing I did.
Like,
yeah,
favorite soundtrack, bro.
Crazy,
right? Yeah. So I did Riding High, and it was with the kid Dax.
Gotcha.
And RC. So that was the first record we did, and we got on the soundtrack at the last minute.
Damn. I was rocking out to a Focus3dots production. Didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Bro, like I knew you did a bunch of records, but you have like the 112 record.
Yeah.
Bro, I had no idea that you do that. Now I love it. That's already a smash. Like, how does that feel to have one of those records that's gonna get played forever, bro?
Yo, okay. I don't know if I can. Well, no, I can talk about it. Tory Lanez just recently did a record with the 112 record, and it made me feel old but appreciated. But like, don't appreciate it, because I never thought my music would be the music that would be sampled.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking like everybody's gonna keep sampling from the same time period. It's like that sweet spot is the late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Put on soul or whatever. So I'm like, man, it was dope. And there's a kid that was online, and he did a whole record with the Yes record that I did with Beyonce. And he did a whole nother record and ended up in the room with Rodney Jerkins, and they were vibing to it. And I'm just like, man, that's crazy. Like, it's dope, but there's different interpretations to the same music.
Right, exactly.
So it's I don't know how to.
Give it up for you making timeless music out here,
man. That felt good. Yeah, that was a good
making
feeling.
timeless music, man.
Good feeling.
Dope. So a lot of people want to know about, now is placements, getting placements.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that one of our community members poses was, what advice would you give to up and coming producer now trying to get into the placement game?
Get your own artist. Nothing is bigger than a producer who makes an artist. We're only one of, when we just produce the same people that they're being regurgitated into the music field. So if we're doing one record on a 32 track album for Chris Brown, how do you shine? You turn around and you build your own artist. That's what made legends like Timbaland and Pharrell and even Dr. Dre. They broke these people and gave them a sound and gave them their signature. So you're now giving that artist a signature, and you're giving yourself your signature. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. So it's like, it's important for that. And I negated that. I wish I would have broke somebody early on in my career, like maybe even at the peak of my career. But now that's what I'm looking forward to. But it's super easy to find somebody that believes in you and make a project. Because that's the stuff that's resonating now. You know what I'm saying? Like the Childish Gambinos and the Anderson .Paaks and stuff like that. They're doing records because they're working with people that believe in them, and they're getting something different.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting. So you say you negated that early on. So let's say now you're on that mission. What would that perfect artist look like for you?
Prince.
Well, what do you
Good, good luck, buddy.
What do you look like,
Yeah,
Prince?
exactly.
What do you look like, Prince?
Hey, you know what?
It
You
was-
know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I would never turn around and turn my back. But when I say Prince, I'm talking about the all-encompassing
Mm-hmm.
of who Prince was. And I've been studying him like for the last couple nights, just watching documentaries that I didn't even know existed, but just his mindset. Like he was so ahead of his time that even going back and listening to his old music now, I still glean new things that made no sense to me when I was just listening. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I would love in this industry or in this generation, they will call it an Anderson .Paak. But I would love a Prince. I would love a Stevie Wonder. I would love you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Somebody that I can get really like creative with, and they're not afraid of it.
The only people I could think of when you were describing that was Anderson,
Yeah.
Childish Gambino,
Yes.
or MIA or something like that. MIA is kind of in that lane
Yeah,
too.
but and it is one of those things. Like you have to look at the people. Are you willing to be? It might not be an overnight success. Are you willing to go the long haul? Are you willing to go the long run? So yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
And you spoke about like mindset. How important do you think your mindset is to like upcoming producers, rappers, artists? How important do you think having the right mindset is to further your career?
I think it's everything. I mean, if you walk into a fight and say I'm gonna lose, you're gonna lose. If you walk into a race and say I'm not gonna win, you're not gonna win.
Right.
If you walk into any situation and you talk about the negative, you're actually putting the negative out before you. So you're just gonna walk up and meet. That's it. So the whole thing about it is if your mindset is right, like I don't make records so that, and this is gonna sound weird, I don't make records so that people love them. I make records I love and I pray that they love them. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I want to feel proud of it, pushing it out like this.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? Like I don't want to put it out and go, all right, I don't know how I feel about it, but no,
Right.
of course you're gonna feel
Exactly.
iffy about it. Like I'm like, bro, I love the record that I did with, such and such and so and so, and they'd be like, it's cool, fine, but I know how I
love
feel
it.
about it. Yeah.
But that's an organic feeling.
Yes.
That's nice, and that kind of comes across when you're
Yeah.
pushing it off on
100%.
somebody.
And that's exactly. That's how you turn around and you start. However that feeling's supposed to go,
Right.
you start it. Don't take my power away from me. When I did the record with just recently with Little Brother, it was a beat I loved it.
Oh yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Fire.
I didn't think anybody would love it, but I wasn't gonna put that out there like that.
How did you not?
That was the one.
Bruh.
You ever hear a record and then you gotta look at the credits? You gotta go look it up. I was listening to the album. I was like, ooh, who snapped on this
I was
drum?
mad because I heard about the song before I heard the song, and then the minute I heard it, I put it on my stories that night, and I was like, oh, it snapped. Somebody told me, like, yo, Focus snapped. I'm like, can't get to my Spotify.
Now I know you mentioned like Prince. Who do you say is like your inspiration as far as like your production, like your style? Who influenced you to make beats and stuff the way that you do?
Prince. Prince is my main one. My main.
Give me your Mount Rushmore, like your top
Oh,
four.
that's easy. My top four are gonna be Stevie Wonder, Prince, and Dr. Dre and DJ Premier.
That's a nice Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Can't be mad at that at all.
There's nothing like the aggression and the pocket of a DJ Premier beat. And he's a minimalist,
Very much so.
and he's perfected it. There's nothing like the space that Dr. Dre uses as an instrument, and how pristine the mixing is. He's perfected it. There's nothing like the color that Stevie Wonder paints with chords. He's perfected it, and then the element of surprise and just avant-garde Prince. You know what I'm saying? So that's, for me, that's all I need.
Right.
That's one of the best Mount Rushmores I've ever heard. Also, one of the best descriptions of why.
Oh, yeah, he was on it too. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh no, there's reasons. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
for
see.
sure. So somebody asked me, what was one of your biggest adversities, being in the game this long, what was one of your biggest adversities and how'd you overcome it?
Depression.
Oh, and have you overcome it, I guess?
No.
I should say.
No, it's something that's. Um, I love the fact that now where we are, we're being honest about mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and we're being honest about vulnerability. But as a creative, you suffer. We've suffered long enough in the dark to where it's now deeply entrenched.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it almost feels normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I still suffer with depression. I don't suffer as deeply as I used to. I have an amazing wife that's been, my rock. She got my back, and I have a great family. But it does get to the point where when you start feeling like rejection from the industry,
Yeah.
relevancy and things like that, those things weigh on our minds where they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to. This is supposed to be a free way to express myself. Why does it feel so horrible? You know what I'm saying? Like, I should love coming out.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I think also as creators, we kind of get a double dose when it comes to depression because the average person, forgive me for using that term, the average person could be depressed about certain things in life. But also as a creative, part of your job is to put things out there almost for one of the reasons is for people to criticize it. Say whether they like it or they don't.
Yeah.
So you get the regular life depression and then you get that part of it. So I think it's important that as creators, and I'm happy that you brought that up, is that for people to be more vocal with this. But now it's not surprising, like if you hear a creative say, man, I get depressed, it's like, I would be worried about you if you did not get depressed. Like, you know what I mean? But thanks for bringing that to the forefront.
No, that's love.
And what do you think helped you as far as like I know I still have that issue myself of like dealing with the criticism, and I know it's not their opinion isn't the end all be all, but sometimes it would just be like I'm like, man, I put so much effort in this, and then I don't get the result I want. What helped you kind of get over that?
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't. I'm 47 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody that I look to for just camaraderie. Exhibit, man. I had a sit down talk with him, and he gave me my face in a plastic bag, and he was just like, you know what? At the end of the day, man, you have to learn how to let some things roll off your back, and that was probably the strongest thing that I heard from a man, because my dad was on the road, so I came out of high school, I came out of my house, whatever, but I came out with my mom deeply entrenched in me. You know what I'm saying? So it's heart first. If you need shirt off my back here, you want my pants too, here you go. You know what I'm saying? So going into the industry that's not about everybody else, but it's about self, you're gonna get yourself beat up. You know what I'm saying? So Exhibit gave me that. My wife gives me that continually. Like, baby, those people can say whatever they want, but when they close their eyes, they're not thinking about you. She was like, you're not waking up in your house. They're not going to sleep in your house. You know what I'm saying? You have to let it roll off your back. And I'm like, So 5,000 people didn't like it, but 18,000 people loved it. You see what I'm saying? Am I going to focus on the 5,000? I'm going to focus on the 5,000. Exactly. Why are y'all so mad? Y'all big mad. That's cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is weird how the few number of negative people far outweigh in our mind the immense amount, especially somebody like yourself and you that have achieved so much, and you know that people think that you're dope, but 5 people are like, yo, you terrible. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You ready to fight the 5 people?
Your mama.
You know why? You take more time to read those 5 comments and try to get in their mind frame. You take yourself out of the joy of the moment, and you're just like, yo, why are they hating on me? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And so you start spinning your wheels behind those 5, instead of basking in the 18 or the 20 or the 20,000. Or like, you're worried about 5 and you're giving them power. I'm like, I did that too much. You know what I'm saying? And reading and started coming back like, why do you hate me so bad?
You're right. I found myself explaining myself to somebody one day.
Like,
it's like 2016. It's on a beat making video. I'm like, all right, it's the last time I'm ever explaining myself to one of these people for my art.
That just happened to you.
In case you don't know what we're talking about, briefly, I had a thread the other day. I forgot what the other question is, the meme that I posted, and basically
It was about double timing the grid. So is it 70 or 140?
Yeah. And basically, some young guy tried to take the teacher to school in the thread. I was amazed. I was sitting here.
It wasn't even hate. I just was like, man,
Yeah, it was well, it was weird reading it because the person who was, it's kind of like, wait, do you know who you're talking to?
Right.
Because the reasons what, and you was giving gems too, by the way.
I appreciate
You was giving gems in your responses. If I was that person, I'd be like, damn, the way he responded to that, I should probably look at who this person is. He could not have known who you really were.
The thing about it is, no matter what, when you speak to anybody, respect everybody.
Mm.
And I put up a post in the comments. I jumped out of that thread and just put, I respect everybody's technique.
Mm-hmm.
However you get to it,
Right.
I respect everybody's technique, and I left it like that. But when you start getting into the point where you're telling me I'm not making sense, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. But the good thing about that whole back and forth was it caused you to text me, and that's probably the reason why you're sitting here today.
So shout out to whoever that was.
Yeah, that was I think that was
over.
over the weekend. It was over the weekend. And now look, a couple days later,
That
Young
was
Focus
so funny.
is here in Atlanta. And so yeah, that's dope. You actually gave a bar about a push-pull technique, and I didn't plan on getting technical this early on with you being here, but
Let's do it.
the push-pull technique that you described, can you break that down? Because I read it and I was like, more people need to know about that.
Push pull, for anybody that doesn't understand pocket, we're now going into where you place drums and bass lines. So your push pull is going to come with where you shift each artifact, be it drums or bass line. So for me, and I'm giving you my sweet spots, anytime I do anything on the grid, let's just say it's a 4/4 grid. So if I put everything on the grid, I always shift my hi-hat about 30% into the beat so that it's lagging a little bit because nobody plays right on the grid. I bring my snare, I plus it maybe about 10 in a shift so that it's hitting before the beat. It's hitting before the 2 and the 4. And then I push my kick back between where the snare is and where the hat is. So if you listen to people like Dilla, who is the god of the push pull,
Facts.
when you listen to even Premier knows how to do push pull, but he swings it.
Right.
So that's how he creates his push pull. Q-Tip is amazing with the push pull.
Facts.
You know, so when you go into people that know how to make textures with just drums and bass, that's a gift, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's push pull is just giving it that thing to where when you start nodding, you're not able to just do this.
Right.
Like you start giving yourself like a really ugly face. So
yeah, you're like, it's off beat, but it's on beat, and it's a groove, and it's not like, let me turn the swing up. Like,
that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work.
See, yeah,
it's
that's
finessing. That's finessing. Yeah.
Now that's a super duper gem right there.
Super. And what did you start off playing? Because I know you play bass. I've seen you play keys. Like, where did your musical journey kind of start?
It started at drums. One of my biggest, it's funny, one of my heroes as a child was Tony Thompson. He played for my dad's group. So my first drum kit was one of his tour kits. It was a chrome Yamaha kit, and I had the whole. He gave me all the cymbals, everything. I was in there killing it.
All the noise.
Yeah, so I wanted to be a drummer, and then all through high school I played in the percussion parts of the bands, and then I just started falling in love with programming. So I started doing piano, and then of course my dad's a bassist, so I wanted to pick up a little bit of that and a little bit of guitar, but that's it.
Super dope. So your first piece of gear, like your first, what you consider like your first production piece?
Was a Prophet 600?
Damn. Okay.
Prophet 600. My dad brought that keyboard home, and he went on tour, and I stole it. Yeah.
Man.
What no Prophet 600s is laying around in my unattended.
Bro, no, they were under in his den too. He had a Fostex 4-track
Oh.
and a Prophet 600. I was stealing that every time he was gone.
Oh man.
Every time.
So now your first beat machine
Was his Lindrum.
Ooh.
The Lindrum. Like the one that all the wonderful sounds come from. We didn't have the early one. He had the straight Lindrum. It was, yeah.
You had a lit house, bro.
Yeah, I think we're starting to hone in on a new term, musician's privilege.
Yeah.
That is a privileged household.
My dad just left me the little Casio keyboards that light up. You know what I mean? Teach you twinkle little star. That's all I got, bro.
They did do UnQuantized.
They did.
Yeah, they had you quantized. That's super crazy.
So now, what equipment do you use?
I'm in Logic.
You know, Logic.
I'm in Logic. I'm a fiend for Logic.
And what makes Logic? What makes it perfect for you?
Everything's there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's there. It was hard for me to get out of it. Siege was one of the people that was pushing me to get out of my hardware, software thing. Because I kept doing hardware to Pro Tools and treating it like a tape recorder instead of going into Pro Tools and producing in Pro Tools. So Logic gives me Pro Tools and hardware. You feel what I'm saying? So it's all right there.
Okay. Gotcha. Do you still involve like any hardware in the mix?
Very rare. I have a Roland vocoder that I like to use as hardware, and but right now I think I'm just really trying to grasp software, if you will. I'm still a relic in that. You know what I'm saying? So just learning pliability in that.
You, sir, I would call a liar because I've seen you. I'm not gonna let you sit here and say that because because recently, it was a couple weeks ago, you were making a beat live. You also, Trizza, my man pulled up like 24 plugins. He flipped the beat around like 89 times. It was a super dope sample too. We'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I happen to say you work plugins in a way that is way more proficient than a lot of people that I've seen. I don't know if you know that or not.
I definitely don't. That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, because you made like...
He said a million.
Yeah. You know how... You know how you can throw something on there, and it's more than just like throwing a halftime on it. Halftime was one of them, but... Because you like a lot of people, and I can make a beat, you can hear like 7 different ways it could go.
Yeah.
And you quickly, within 5 minutes, made it go all 7 ways. And still didn't pick a way that you liked it.
Yeah, if I don't get it, then I'm not gonna push it.
Yeah, and I'm like, this motherfucker is killing it.
I think that one of the things I started learning, I guess when I got over the aftermath, coming from New York, it was easy for us to put samples on and just put drums under it. But Premier was a chopper. Even Rock is a chopper. Pete Rock is a chopper. Jay Dill is a chopper. You know what I'm saying? So I started going towards that. But then it was like, okay, how do I make this not so much about the sample? Because all I'm doing is sampling records that people know and just making, you know what I'm saying? How do I make this feel like an experience? And I started falling in love with anything that manipulates sound, bro. Anything. Like halftime, I fell in love with that. But Young Fire.
Oh yeah, Fire is crazy.
Yo, the Fire Effect before that.
Yeah.
Like he put that out, I lost my mind with that. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like for me, anything that manipulates sound and gives me a way to put a fingerprint on something that already was fingerprinted. You feel what I'm saying?
I definitely feel exactly
you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's what's so. I guess we could go into sampling. You seem to have an affinity for sampling, like I do.
Yeah.
How long have you been sampling? Do you still sample? And I guess like favorite genre to sample.
I've been sampling since the moment I got my Insonic EPS 16 Turbo.
Ooh.
Before the ASR 10.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I lost my mind. I was sampling dumb stuff just for no reason, just to see what it could do. So I started sampling in that. Actually, way before that. Remember the Casio SK1?
Yes.
Oh wow.
I had one of those.
Oh,
Tim
wow.
started on the
Yeah, but you had to really like speed up things to get it.
like 3 seconds.
Yeah, not even. It was like 2. That's it. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So since then, do I sample now? Yes. Yes, I do. That's the Little Brother record with the intro to Oxnard. The thing about it is, I do not frown upon anybody that samples, but don't take all the credit when you've had some help. You know what I'm saying? It's dope that you can spice up a sample. That's dope, but still give credit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these kids be thinking like they nice, but they're literally just taking something from a sample kit that somebody else did and just putting drums under in there like, yeah, I'm a producer.
Right. Well,
I'm not disrespecting, but just give respect to the person that you got the sample from. You know what I'm saying? And even just recently, I did a record with something from a decap kit, and I gave decap, and I gave him a call, and I was like, homie, this beat might be something. He was like, man, it's royalty free, but if you feel like doing something, yes, I feel like doing something, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Like, love, yeah.
So yeah.
All right, well, that kind of got me. You kind of answered my next question, which was, how do you feel about people that make loop packs and they are not all royalty free and they do kind of, because you know it's kind of like a play now. You know, it's like you put out the loop packs and then that's kind of how you get on records. Get on placements. Like, how do you feel about that? You kind of went into it, but
I don't really have a feeling about it. I think that it's a necessity. The music industry is changing, so the players have to change and the game plays have to change. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like people want to get in the room with a Focus. If they're 20 years old and I'm 47, we don't actually speak the same language, but music is the universal language. So at the end of the day, if my music can get in there, you know what I'm saying, then it's cool. We now negate the fact that you might not want to connect with me and you don't want to have that awkward thing, but you know, I'm not discrediting it. I'm not negating it. I don't use sample packs. This was a one-time thing when I used the decap thing, but it was so. When you hear the beat, you'll know why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of them things. But yeah, like I think it's dope. Cardi's been doing it. Cardiac's been doing it for years. S1's doing it.
Shout out to Cardiac, man.
Yeah.
Cardiac was flipping my stuff. One of my sample packs on live.
Yeah, but his drums, the cassette drums. Hey, yo. So anyway,
thank you, bro.
That's one of my favorite folders to go in. Like,
oh man, I gotta send you away with a package too.
All right, so we're out, guys. It was good to see everybody. I need to go if I'm gonna get this package, people.
Right.
So what is your like? Can you walk us through like what's a normal day of you producing and just being in the studio? Like, are you one of these people that make 5 beats in a day, or do you just make 1 or 2? Like, what's your vibe when you're producing?
I am like every creative that has probably 6 or 7 folders of unfinished beats. I go in and I do what the room tells me to do, and if I play against it, I feel, I don't know, I start to feel stressed. You know what I'm saying? Like if I hear something acoustically, then I'll just pick up the guitar and I'll make it work and put it in there, but I might not finish it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. Like I always get to go back and with a fresh air. So I have over 40 beats right now. And both my computers combined probably 100 that are just not finished, but they're ideas that I can pull out at any given moment.
And you might just be feeling another day and just finish them out.
And I think that's the best way to do it for me. Like I used to do 5 beats a day and not place 5 beats a day.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? So my ratio's off.
Right.
But if I make 1 beat or 2 beats a week and I place both the beats, I'm at 100%. I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Okay, when it comes to the unfinished beats, how often do you go back to a beat and finish it, and what drives you to say, all right, I'm gonna finish this particular one?
I actually have a day or maybe 2 days during the week where I go back and look through all of my inventory, all of it, like, because I literally do have in my computer at home, I have 4 working folders from 216 to now, and I just go through. And I just go through them. You know what I'm saying? And it's 216, 217, 218, 219. Go through them. I just literally just start going through them, and I'm realistic with myself. Like if it's not moving me in that moment, I delete it. Because if it's not moving me after 216, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's not moving me, then there's an issue. You know what I'm saying? So
Pretty dope. Also, on the subject of finishing beats, do you collab? How often do you collaborate, and who do you collaborate with when you do?
I'm always open to collaborate.
It'd be easy on this show, buddy. Hold up. Hold tight.
Except for the guy that was telling me I don't make no sense, bro. I'm like, no, I'm open. Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. I'm definitely open to collaborate, but don't push me. Like a lot of people will be like, yeah, I sent you something, you haven't done nothing. Like, guys, understand I work for Dr. Dre. Understand I have a family. Understand that I'm a husband. Understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still a human being.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm open to it. My major collaborator since I met him has been Cardiac. And we actually just Cardiac and them joints, like those guys, yeah.
Two super fire producers.
Yeah, but he's a friggin' alien, bro. But like literally, like me and Cardiac hit it off so great. Like he was the reason why I got on a Mustard album, and it was Rick Ross and you know and John Legend and you know what I'm saying. So it's like if he didn't let me play on that record, I wouldn't have been on that record. You know what I'm saying? So.
How do y'all mean? Is it a tri-state? Because he's from that area.
No, but Cardi came in through I think Ty when we were doing Compton. So yeah, that's how we got to connect.
Yeah, y'all actually a good match now I think about it because both of you all are very eclectic. Have a big musical palette. Like watching you make a beat and watching Cardiac make a beat, you don't know if you're gonna get like an R&B beat. You don't know if you're gonna get some real hip hop shit. You don't know if it's gonna be a break beat. You don't know. So yeah, y'all are a really good pair.
Yeah, I love working with him, and I love his excitement about the music. Like when he started going into his Rain Man, like we all got it. You know what I'm saying? But he started I'll be watching him like, okay, you heard that? Okay, cool. Joints does it too, so it's dope.
Yeah, them joints is one of the producers I love, bro.
He's one of my favorites.
Crazy, bro.
It's not just his drums.
Yeah,
he's a approach, bro.
He's
nuts. My God.
My old manager had a girl group and he produced their single.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, and this is years ago, and this is the first time I ever heard it. I was like, yo, who did this, bro? Yeah, he's incredible, bro.
That same manager came to my house and just played me a whole bunch of his beats, and I was just like, I'm finna turn this shit off. I was like, yo, damn it, this is unreal.
Yeah, he's not fair.
Yeah,
he's not fair at all.
Aliens, man. It's a circle of aliens.
100%. 100%.
That's right, definitely. So, everybody wants to know, man. Drums first or melody first?
Melody first. For me, it's very rare where I want to do drums first. Everybody says you build your house from the foundation up, but I want to know that my roof ain't leaking.
I'm with you on that. Do you think that has a lot to do with coming from a sampling background?
Maybe.
It does for me. That's why I asked you.
Maybe. I never thought that deeply into it. I honestly, for me, it's more along the lines that the melody and the progression of the melody drives what I'm gonna do to the drums.
Got it.
You feel what I'm saying? So if I wanted to feel intricate, I started from the top. Like when I did this record for Usher called Pop Your Collar, under Shakespeare, and stupid. But if you listen to the chords were jumping around. You know what I'm saying? So when we started going into the drums couldn't be just regular drums.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, something like that.
Okay, good. Dope. So, a lot of your stuff will have some type of grit to it. And this is a question that somebody told me to ask you earlier.
Sure.
So when it comes to the grit and making things not so clean, like what is one of your techniques or maybe types of favorite plugins or something that you would use?
Back in the day, Trash.
Isotope.
Isotope Trash was one of the things. Vinyl from Isotope as well. And then Now with Waves and the Abbey Roads vinyl, I
Mm-hmm.
love putting that on there because you can actually dictate how dirty you want it to go. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Without kind of fully committing. You could do that back in the day, but now vinyl is just a little bit more. There's a little bit more character to it, and I dig it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But tape saturation as
Right.
well. Yeah, like a
Right.
lot of these tape players, J37 and all of them. Yeah.
Now, your ear from all the years you being around Dr. Dre, do
Hmm.
you think it's a big difference between digital and analog? Do you think that it's such a big difference? Because I hear people argue about it's not the same anymore, but then the end consumer doesn't care at all.
The end consumer doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. And unless you have a trained ear, the end consumer is not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
A great song is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, if it comes out from an analog or digital world, it's how you mix it and how you want them to feel.
Right.
Now, when it comes down to, I always say that I'm analog in the digital world because my approach is analog. The sounds might be digital, but I'm still going to push it like it's analog.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it is we can get the same, not the exact same, because people were talking about so many things to me. It's not going to be the exact same, but it will resonate
Right.
like analog. You feel what I'm saying? So they
Sure.
gave us all the saturation that we can get. We can get all the dirt and grit and vinyl. We can get all of that.
Right.
It might not be exact, but it will give you and it will resonate like that.
True. And so when it comes to creating, just when you're creating bag,
Yeah.
what inspires you to create?
Um, I always give it up to my wife. I always say it the same way too. I got a smoking hot wife. So keeping her happy is everything to me. Keeping the lights on is everything to me. Keeping my family fed is everything to me. Keeping my family clothed is that I can keep going on and on. So there's just a whole list of motivation.
Mm.
Yeah.
So if I turn around and say I just don't feel like it against the list of fed, lights, bills, this and that, blah blah blah, you stay motivated. So I just keep real life in front of me.
I think the way you put that, damn eloquent, man.
Thank you very much.
Pretty
Thank you.
eloquent.
I went to high school.
Wait, public high school?
No.
Okay. But you know, I think that's a very
Oh, I lost it. It's all up here. Oh yeah, there we go.
But no, I think it's a very interesting point because a lot of people want to know, and I even think the question was posed, what inspires you? How do you stay inspired? When I think what people need more than inspiration is motivation, and I think there's a difference between the two. Like some people are, what inspires me is, you know, it's usually something kind of abstract and not very tangible. But a motivation is family, is like you said, keeping the lights on. Because you know, you look, it's a lot of lights. something keeps them on. So yeah, I would challenge more people to find yourself a motivation instead of always looking for inspiration. I think that's really.
And I think that, and I love what you said, and you're absolutely right. But the difference is so minute. You can use a motivation to inspire yourself. You feel what I'm saying? So I gain inspiration by looking at my family. I gain inspiration by making sure that, to me, meeting my duty, is inspiring enough for me to go in and make music. It doesn't have to be directly like, man, that color made me write this record.
Right.
I'm just not that guy. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like, it's
right.
really dope when my wife smiles and she's not worried about or tensified that we might not be able to pay a bill.
Right.
And I can glean from that. So
Right.
yes, in the same right, you are absolutely right. If I'm gonna go for it, then my wife being happy, I'm paying the bills and she's happy. So now I can glean from her happiness and make these records. But that motivation is the sole reason why I stay inspired.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, puts us in a different conversation. There's a lot of men out here with families and things like that. So I'm inspired to ask you two questions. Number one, was there ever a time when you weren't meeting your duties?
Yes.
And what was the thing that changed all that for you?
The time when I wasn't, in my mind, wasn't meeting my duties, because my wife wouldn't say this, but when I took the hiatus in 2008, and when I left Aftermath and I went back to Atlanta, I didn't have a high paying job when I came out here. Like, I literally had enough savings to live for maybe 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And it was one of those things, just trying to get back into the niche out here.
Right.
I couldn't get into like they weren't letting me in. They were just respect and love, but that was it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when again when you start to look at everything, you start looking at your savings and go, wow.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Going down.
Yeah. So that's what turned everything around. It's like I don't want to have financial arguments or financial discontentment in my house. You know what I'm saying? Like my job is to make sure my wife is clean and happy and uplifted and built up and like I have so much on my plate just as a person. I have to make sure that I can facilitate.
I think that's dope. It's definitely dope to have those outside sources of motivation. Because you know, as a man, you can eat out soup cans and live in a box.
Bro, I
you
top ramen for
you
years.
don't require much at all. Keeping it real.
Cheese, top ramen, toilet paper, I'm good.
Yeah, nice. You got a floor?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh, paper towel. Just in case
Yeah,
I want
paper
towel.
towel.
I'm not gonna
Well, I
wash
mean,
up.
actually, paper towels, you can cut out the toilet paper if you don't have toilet paper sometimes.
Hey, man.
Cheap paper towels.
7-ply.
I cut thin toilet paper that doubles as super thick. Yeah. So the second part of that was how do you balance work and family life? Like
Everybody asks me that. There is no perfect balance. That is a hard thing and it's an ongoing struggle. But you have to properly place your priority. And when your work becomes a priority over your family, you're not properly placing your priority. You know what I'm saying? My job is to support my family, but my job is to my family. So if my family is put properly, you know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to be God, family, then you go to rest. You know what I'm saying? So that's where my mind is at, and I do the best I can with it. But nobody ever measures up perfectly. Nobody.
Between you and Gucci Man this week, y'all had me out to get married, man.
Oh, bro.
Gucci Man gave some very valid points about his wife, and then you highlighted it again.
There you go,
man. When I tell you, it is the best thing that ever happened to me, because it takes all of that mess, distraction, whatever you can think of, that dating and all that, trying to find the right one, takes that off the plate. And that's a lot of men turn around, man, we're gonna get into it. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. No, this is life stuff now.
Listen, I don't know how they feel about life stuff. I love life stuff.
I need it. I got a daughter, I'm over here like, how you balance?
No, I'm telling like it does. You definitely want somebody that's going to make you the center of his world. But I love the memes that go, if he can't find you through God, then he's looking in the wrong place. If you can't find him through God, then you're looking in the wrong place. Like if you don't understand that 3-chord fold, then nothing's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? So I have my wife. That's my Eve. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying?
It seems like as we go further and further into time, more superficial things dictate what a relationship is. So you've been married for a while.
Yeah.
And you know, I've known my wife for quite some time. And I just think we're kind of fortunate, to be honest, because now it's if you're trying to get married after like Instagram and social media and all that shit, or if you're like an early 20-something,
it's hard.
It's tough. Because if you think about what came before us, it was even in music. It was like singing about make this house a home and want to get married and all that type of stuff. And then with us, it became less and less and less. We still had our Jodeci and things like that, but now it's just a whole thing of like nobody's even caring about that shit. Like you get married, just
don't tell me about it.
Get married for the gram.
I'm gonna cut y'all off in the mid-conversation. They're gonna kick us off, so we don't start it back up. If we did get to your question about focus, please ask it again. Man, we got a bunch of dope questions for folks. Man, I'm excited.
Let's rock.
So yeah, and please. Keep telling about the
intermission. No, what's
that? The masterclass.
Oh, there's a masterclass coming up November 9th in Los Angeles. Me, them joints, DJ Khalil, and Bluetooth, and it's going to be crazy.
Or we got any plugs before they kick us off?
Man, check out Reckless Wave and Reckless Drums. Just came out this week. They're incredible. I'll tell you more about them later.
You could have gave a little. We got a little more time.
How much time?
We got 20 seconds. 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Well, listen, me and the Billboard Hitmakers, we did Spacewalk together. Reckless Wave is incredible. Reckless Drums.
Yeah.
Check out my page. Trizzy Track is actually killing it. If you like Moon Rocks, you'll love Reckless Drums.
Go to Producer Kit, get anything. Got custom voice tags, 808 pack that just dropped.
Hey.
So we'll be back.
I need to run to the back.
Cool.
That needs to happen.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay. See.
And YouTube.
Wait.
YouTube, we're still here, but we're doing bathroom breaks.
I'm going to the bathroom.
All right, so I'll show you where it is.
All right, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna dance.
Oh, man.
Hey.
I'm asking real questions.
All right, YouTube, what's poppin', man? We're just taking a little brief intermission. Sebastian Beats, what's poppin', man? Thank you for joining us. Overbite says I'm a isotope junkie. Oh man, isotope got some shit. Trash was cool. Trash definitely got some fire to it.
Oh yeah. I still rock with Trash.
Yeah, I still use it.
Yeah.
I'm one of the ones, man. Once I find it, a plug-in that works, I'm like,
Trash cool, okay?
how y'all feel about this Kanye album, man?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what people are saying.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna have to move in a minute when you come back.
Ben Staples says, I appreciate Kanye's love for Christ, because that's how I feel about Crippin'. Yeah, I love Vince Staples, yeah.
Yo, Vince Staples just need his own show. Like, not even scripted. Just like put a camera on him.
Just let him do his thing.
And just like let him like scroll through Google or something. Did you hear him on Joe Budden?
Oh, I loved it, bro. He was the best guest.
He was just hanging out.
Yeah.
He wasn't even there.
I forgot he was there half the time, and he just pop up and say some wild
He
stuff.
act like he didn't even want people to know that he was there.
Yeah, Vince is the shit, man.
Yeah, he's outrageous, man.
Justin Hope, aka Justified Music, was popping, brother.
What up,
We
Justified?
should have brought out the decanters, man.
Ooh,
Yeah,
definitely should.
I didn't think about it.
Damn. Wait, are people weighing in on the Kanye joint? Because
Not
I'm
yet.
curious.
Yeah, not yet.
I'm curious to see what people
We'll
think.
talk about that one.
I know who is loving it. Realistic, the biggest Kanye fan in the world.
I'm up there in the Kanye fans. I feel like I'm very high.
Yeah.
I just don't know about this one. It's not bad.
So you did hear it?
I heard it twice. It's not bad. Production wise, compared to all the other albums, it's not bad. I just don't. We'll talk about it.
Y'all said I OD'd on my Kanye criticism last time, so I'm gonna try to save my for next week.
I feel like something's wrong with me, dog. Cause like Chance the Rapper, I don't like it because it's too happy.
Positive.
It's too happy. It's like almost like it feels fake. Like
It
Hercules.
It was too much.
Yeah.
It was definitely too much.
Yeah.
I listened to like 3 songs. I was like, you know what? It's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. But I came up when it comes to my rappers. I feel like I've come a long way with Compromiser. I'm coming from a Mobb Deep background. Okay?
Right.
I'm coming from an Eazy-E background.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that I like, I'm like, man, go me for being mature. But that is, I found the line. I think the Chance jump, that's the line for me, bro.
Hercules.
Yeah, I don't know. Little too positive, little too chipper, but like I said, man, that's what you get. You come up on NWA and Eazy-E. It's hard to listen to Chance sometimes. It's a little tough.
All right.
Yeah. I want to make sure he ain't get lost.
No, right here.
Oh, he can't. I thought y'all on the camera. I'm like,
okay, is there a
oh, he
back
came,
way?
he came around the back. Okay.
Oh, this is dope. We'll talk. I guess we'll turn it on. Then we'll talk about it. Cool. So, yo, everybody good?
Yep.
Paste this
I actually got a whole bunch of questions here too. I just thought we'd ask those.
I should probably ask.
We still got some more questions for you, my brother.
Yeah.
Man, we appreciate you too, man.
No, it's all
man,
good.
that's a fact, bro.
You've been giving a lot of the gems.
Oh yeah.
Elevate.
Yes, sir.
Getting Justified Music and Elevate. What's poppin'?
Elevator's in the building.
Young IDK, what up, brother?
Elevate did one of the smartest things ever, man. He just changed the spelling of his name.
Yeah.
It used to, people didn't know if it was levitate or what, and then he just changed the spelling. Perfectly grand, man.
So have you seen this thing that Grammy Academy is doing? I seen B. Cox just posted up that they're trying to push this movement of crediting the people that's behind the scenes. So they're trying to push for like engineers, songwriters, producers to be credited on all these platforms. So like Spotify. I've been seeing people
that's
really
dope.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. But to me that was the best part of listening to records.
They're trying to re-implement the liner notes. So that's what. I love it.
I feel like kids don't get that joy of like I remember going to Walmart and buying a single. You know what I'm saying? And just like reading the credits like, oh shit.
That's what I found out about so many people. Because you would see them on this joint, then see them on that joint, and you'd be like, oh, make it move.
Yeah, exactly.
You start to follow, yeah.
Okay, so we back, man. We got young Focus3dots in the building, man. Got the legend. Let's see. Oh, we got some questions coming in too.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, I guess we get this out of the way. Have you heard the Kanye album? Not yet.
No.
Or when you heard it?
That was a crazy eye roll. Yeah. Yeah.
Not yet.
I heard it right before the show.
And here's the. You said there's gonna be no 808s, right? And that was the rumor.
That was the rumor.
It's no 808s technically, but it's a bunch of basses. This EQ very much like an 808.
Yeah.
So I still feel like it's an 808.
When somebody asked me, I think it was one of you all asked me what I thought of it. I was like, if you were a kid in the 80s and you went to church like every kid in the 80s did, black church, then that's what this album was. It was going to black church in the 80s. Yeah.
I feel like it was cool. I enjoyed production wise that it's the same Kanye random skit stop turns into something else. Like I enjoy that part of it. To me, out of all the last 4 Kanye albums, it's the best produced one out of all of those. Like the Nas, the Kid Cudi one, the Tiana Taylor. To me, production wise, this was the most well produced. But I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna like it. I don't like it like that.
You didn't like God Is?
Yeah, and then the Chick-fil-A thing threw me off, bro. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. I hope Chick-fil-A gave him a bag. I pray they gave him a bag.
I don't think.
I hope they gave him a bag of Polynesian sauce.
I don't Kanye, we're gonna give you a lifetime supply.
Polynesian sauce.
I don't eat that, huh?
Popeye's got too crazy, Kanye. We need you.
This ain't Chick-fil-A song, man, please. How do you feel about, and it's kind of getting out of this now, but the whole short song thing, like songs being like 1 minute and 30 seconds or...
Not that short, but I do understand why. And it definitely, it adjusted my thinking because I'm doing a project. I have a project coming out November 6th and I'm excited about it, but I did not go in and make every record 340, 350.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I have a record, literally the first record is like 1:50. You know, and I do have a record that's like 250 or something like that.
Okay.
And it's like we're dealing now with a different kind of consumption. So if they're consuming fast food, unfortunately, we have to give them, no matter how soul foody my food is, I still have to give them smaller portions.
You giving them the Popeye's chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just so I can get in there. You know what I'm saying?
There's a little soul food in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little Popeye's Thanksgiving turkey.
100%.
Yo, which by the way is fire, man. People don't know. You can get your Thanksgiving turkey from Popeyes.
Really?
Yeah,
they do a deep fried turkey.
Bruh, I've been getting...
You gotta order it like dumb months in advance.
We've hosted Thanksgiving for the last 10 years, and I think the last 7 of them have been Popeyes deep fried turkey.
As a vegan, Thanksgiving sucks for me. I'm not even gonna lie, bro.
Oh, that's plenty of sides.
Yeah, but most people cook with, turkey necks and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
so
right. See, you vegan meat.
Yeah, I'm for real. Yeah.
I haven't done eating meat except for twice in the last 2 months. So I think this Thanksgiving for me is gonna be one of them Thanksgivings. But I can go in on all the sides, bro.
You more than welcome to come to the crib, man. You got nothing but some sides. It's all sides. That's it.
Young sides. Got you.
I see my wife's face floating from the hearts. It's just
Y'all
over here talking.
Shout out to Miss Focus3dots.
Yes, indeed. She gets the air horn, man.
Air horn.
And a yeah.
We heard nothing but great stuff about how you made this man even better.
We got Triz over here thinking about getting married.
I'm like, man,
we're gonna get that man
get
some hardware. Yeah.
So,
baby.
okay, Focus, I have a question for you. So we talked about the creative aspects, right?
For sure.
What parts of your day and your business don't revolve around creating? Because most time when people think about making beats and being a producer, they just think about making beats all day, but they don't realize that there's other business aspects that we have to take care of. So, as far as your day to day, like what are other business parts that you have to make sure is taken care
Um, Me and my wife have a company called Envision Entertainment, and we're working on building a roster. I'm trying to find some. Like I said, I negated finding that artist, so I'm trying to find that now. That is definitely an ongoing talk between me and her, and there's a lot more as far as just getting trajectory out there, because it's cool just to jump off and start moving, but I want to know where I'm going, where I'm gonna land. You know what I'm saying? And even in the ascension, I want to know how high I need to go. You know what I'm saying? So we have creative conversation like that, and she manages me as well. So she even has been getting some really really dope things up that normally would be uncomfortable for me, but since she's at my side, I'm like I'm knocking it down. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned your project. Can you tell us more about the project you got coming out?
So it's 7 records, and it's the acronym for Sound Without Focus is Just Noise. SWFIJN. And my boy Ultronity, he follows me online, and he every time he does something with a graphic with my name, it inspires me to do something. And he did this thing. He just did something with the name, and he spiraled it into a void. I was like, bro, that's beautiful. Like it has to be my cover, and I don't even have a project coming out. So I started making a project because of this cover. So
that's gotta be a fire cover.
Yeah, well, it's a simple cover. It might not resonate with everybody else like that. It just resonated with me.
Right.
And that's what spawned it, and then the rest of it is, most of the album is dedicated to my wife.
Oh, nice.
So, the first time we met, even an argument that we went in had, like, these are things that, like, I speak from real life, and I even told her, I was like, I want to be able to talk about it. She was like, baby, go for it. Be honest, be transparent.
So now this album, I think, is not an instrumental album.
Nope.
Are you barring? Here?
There's a couple bars in there. It's more. I'm singing.
Wait a minute. Really?
Yeah.
Focus got the pipes.
There's something down there. I don't know if it's right now. Pause. But there's something down there.
That is really dope. I'm surprised, but I'm also not surprised at the same
I've done it
time.
before.
You're such a creative and artsy guy that I'm like, not surprised.
Yeah. I've done it before. I've done songs with Fonte on the Foreign Exchange album. We did a song called Love Songs. And on my project, I did an avant-garde project, and we did a song called Recession together where we're singing. So, yeah.
Am I crazy because I'm even more excited now? Wait, first I thought it was instrumental. And I was like, wait,
it's gonna sound like, but
I'm down for that.
And then my wife is on the last song.
I know.
Yeah, so we did a song. I did a tribute to Chic, and yeah, she's my Chic female singer. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, man. That's dope.
Now I have a theory that all producers at one time were rappers, and we all have a 16 bar that's tucked away. Right? That's my theory.
Okay.
Please don't break my theory.
Were
you once a rapper?
Yes.
And do you have a 16 bars just tucked away just in case?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Don't cover the Focus with the smoke. He got 16.
Oh, no. Well, I have to go home and get it out of the It's not one that I carry with myself.
What did I say out there?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious. Hold on. Where's the best place to listen to music now? That's an odd question, but it's a good question.
What is your music platform that you go to?
I'm so intermac that it's Apple Music.
Oh.
So my stuff, because it's across all the platforms. So I haven't gotten into the Spotify on the phone and Tidal on the phone. I haven't done that yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that feels bad because more black people don't use Tidal?
No, I have Tidal. I just don't. Yeah, I don't use it as a streaming
We're in the
platform.
same boat. Like we pay for it.
Yeah, I have it.
We support, but we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got too many services. Title just it sounds
It's just
good.
one. It's just
it,
one of
it
them.
just sounds good, but I just can't.
I got Tidal because they said they had all of Prince's catalog. I
Ah.
lost my mind. I was like, click, click. Y'all have all of my money.
Smart for life.
For
Just,
life,
just
yeah.
for this one
Yep.
thing.
That's all I needed.
I have it because my wife is the biggest Beyonce fan in the world, and I just know if Jay-Z does anything and it don't go nowhere else, it's gonna go to Tidal, and I'm probably the
There
biggest
it is.
Hove fan ever. So
There it is.
I just hit Tidal every day. Jay-Z he stop by? No, all right, cool.
Let's see. Can we hear a song from SWFIJN?
That's sound without focus is just noise.
You got
Oh, that's my wife.
we got Instagram.
My wife is so dope.
Let's see.
Ooh, play a song from your album that I have right here in the car. Yeah, this is you know what? I might do something on my live and do something and play.
Ooh.
But yeah,
That'd be dope.
cause yeah, I don't have anything with me right now, but most definitely.
Yeah, if you do, let us know, and we'll alert all these people here, and
That
they
would
can
be
jump
blessing.
in your live, and then they can check it
That
out.
would be a blessing. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Corey Webster says, "Do you still use Machine?"
Nope.
And why
I
not?
just, you know what? I take that back. I just did a thing for Waves, because of the integration, with the products in their standalone, NI stuff. So I was on Machine and I really was impressed. I'm just not a scenes guy.
I'm not gonna hit the table.
Don't hit the table.
I'm
I'm
not
just
gonna-
not. And that's all it is. It's just I'm not a scenes guy. Like even Ableton, the interface for me was like rocket science. That's just me. You feel what I'm saying? That does not. This is
See?
this Logic?
We was right here, folks. We was right here together.
What is this? This is
That
Ableton.
is Microsoft Excel, sir.
Okay, I don't know what. I don't know what you're using it.
I feel like you would be like me because I came from Logic, right?
Yeah.
To Ableton, and I use Ableton the complete opposite side. I don't never use that side.
Yeah, he's the other side.
I use
Gotcha.
the arrangement view, kind of like Ableton. So it's just
Exactly.
like making. I mean, in Logic, it's just like making a beat in Logic for me.
Okay.
So that's why I liked it. It was a quick adjustment to how I used to make beats into that. That I still don't get. I still don't get the clip side like that.
Yeah.
I barely use it.
You know.
And it's not a bad. It's a preference. That's
Yeah.
my personal preference. I'm still old school. Like I want to see.
But I feel you on Machine. I still, I got two machines over here. But the thing is, I use them for the glorified sample banks to me. Or like when I'm making drums or I'm making stuff, and I'm like, boom, all right, that's it, and I sample it to Machine and keep it there until I get 16, and then put them somewhere else. But I cannot get with the sequencer.
I don't
That's
like the scenes.
I love everything about it, and I use it more than I use my MPCs, but I like MPCs way better.
Well, you're used to it, but if you sit around Knots,
I already know. Yeah.
Knots makes it look so fun, bro. He
He-
makes Machine look
He
fun.
does. I hate him for I hate him. Shout out to Knots.
Knots is a beast, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, Knots is like that's like my I check Instagram before I go to sleep because Knots gonna give you 4 beats that he made
4 or 5
2 hours ago.
beaters, like for real, yeah.
Incredible, man.
Yes,
Shout
sir.
out to the homie Knots. But Native Instruments, I can't get with the sequencer, but MPC sequencer,
Yeah,
100%.
for sure.
Let's see. If you could start over with the money you've made thus far, what things would you do to never ensure you had to work a day job again?
I wouldn't. All right, this is gonna sound weird. I would be more mindful who I loan my money to, or who I use my money on. You're not supposed to loan out for reciprocity. You know what I'm saying? But it did get to a point where a lot of the money started getting run through and nobody was there. You know what I'm saying? And the moment that the money ran out, um, nobody was there and crickets. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you just start to be mindful, like, okay, that really wasn't my friend. That really wasn't my partner. That really wasn't my, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely be a little bit more tight with my money. And especially with my wife, I definitely would have put more money away and made sure that there wouldn't be any loss in rainy days.
Right.
Wise words.
Yeah. Do you like? I don't want to get all into this, but do you do stuff outside of music, or are you reliant like?
Yeah, man, I'll be flipping crack. No. I think that, and that's probably one of the things that I pride in my career is that I've been able to support my family with my career. You know what I'm saying? And it is a blessing. And it's not just music. I mean, I work for Dr. Dre. You know what I'm saying? And Dre has been the greatest part of my career. You know, aftermath. Yeah, and no matter what, everything that's a gift has a curse. There's always that other side of, you know what I'm saying? And even sometimes, you know, one of the most wonderful things, even in your faith, there's always some kind of adversity. So there's always a bad side to a good side. You know what I'm saying? And Dre, we worked together, and I've been a nuisance to him, and you know what I'm saying. But then at the same time, I've tried to be as cool an instrument and tool in his tool shed. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely been a grand part of my being able to take care of my family.
And where did your name come from?
My dad.
So Focus came from your dad.
My dad used to tell me to focus on my schoolwork. He didn't want me to do music. He was like, man, you need to stay focused on your schoolwork and this and blah, blah, blah. And I was walking through Brooklyn, I forgot where I was, but I just saw the word focus, like maybe on a banner or something like that. And I came back to my boys, that was around 90. And I was like, what y'all think about the name Focus? And he was like, it's cool. I kept saying it to myself. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going by. I'm going to go by Focus.
Right. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, so that was it.
That's pretty dope.
And the 3 dots, how did that come about?
Back in those days, you know, we used to have the longest names ever. My name was Focus, the loose producer, the 40 sipping track record. Like, that was my name.
AKA?
Yeah, right. But no, that was my name. Like, Focus, the loose producer. That was my name. So then, as I started going in my career and getting records that were sticking to the wall, there were a lot of people that were calling themselves Focus. So the only way that I could differentiate was to do the dots.
Gotcha.
That's pretty smart. Somebody asked, what is the greatest lesson you learned from Dr. Dre?
That space is an instrument. That's probably one of the most golden gems that he's given me, only because if I was sitting here trying to make my whole career off of instrumentals, I'd be dead by now. You know what I'm saying? So it is one of those things that we have to create space for whatever it is, whatever the lead instrument is, and utilizing it as an instrument. Now you're not fighting it. You're now accepting it as an instrument, as a part of it, and it helped me so much.
I think that's really dope. So do you think, and this is just my theory, that producers that don't leave enough space are actually just making beats for other producers?
I think that it's more about being, like I'm trying to impress, I don't know who. It depends on who they're trying to impress, whatever their audience is. But yeah, 100%.
More N1 than NBA?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, watch me bounce this off his forehead for what? You know what I'm saying? Just make the shot, you know, so yeah.
That, and the follow-up, the person asked that question was, are there any Dr. Dre stories that you could share?
Like what?
I don't know. Sounds like
anything that's exciting that you could.
A studio session or something. Hey man, I don't make these questions up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not really a big major story, but you know, it was super dope to see him kind of come off. I know that people might not have fallen in love or in lust with Compton, but for my mentor to say, okay, I'm gonna come out of the side view and make a project, I thought that was like amazing. And to see him actually go and get back on the mic, that was dope. And we spent I think almost 3 days awake mixing that record before mastering.
Wow.
And I was there, you know, and that was just super. It was super amazing, bro. That was like that, and that's like my last album that has impacted my career at the depth that it has, just because of that. Like
All the stuff.
Drake, yeah, like Drake. It's like watching Jordan put back on the
Yeah.
Bulls uniform. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, word, like, like that's. So yeah, that's what it was. So that's dope.
Yeah, Drake in the studio is a sight. I got to see it a couple times. As a matter of fact, I think you and I would have met earlier. I think it was right around the time of your departure.
Okay.
Because the studio across the street from Interscope was Polo, Tim, and Drake.
Yeah.
That's when
No
I
excuses.
came. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when I came on the scene,
Get out.
and I was working with Polo and Tim. And Dre was in, so every now and again I would get to come in Dre's room and just see all the NPCs hooked up next to each other and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you weren't around at that time, yo, we would have been kicking it, bro.
Yeah, bro.
I was all over that studio from like 2009 to probably 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, when I came back, I did maybe a week at No Excuses, but I wasn't there like that.
Yeah, that was the time Beats headphones just was popping off and all that type of stuff. Because they had all the pictures with everybody wearing them at No Excuses. Oh man, that place was a great place, and it was.
And the
terrible.
club over there.
Yeah, oh man. And
Yeah,
ping
so-
pong, all day ping pong.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
What is your favorite placement that you've ever got? I know you worked on a lot of records, but like, what is your one? And it doesn't have to be like, it's just something that's memorable about that record that makes it stand out for you.
The Beyonce record.
I mean, that's an easy one to be your favorite.
Yeah, that was her. That was her first solo album, and of course the world was watching. So to get on that album, and she told me who I bumped off the album.
Ooh, that's a
I
good
think it
one.
was like a Bad Boy record.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was,
take that.
Hey, funny reference. Take that.
Take that, Diddy.
Diddy, don't be mad, but yeah, yeah, but it was dope. And then she performed it at live at Wembley, so that was that was super.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first placement? Your first like big record where you was like, oh man, like.
First big record.
Yeah.
When Candy did Don't Think I'm Not.
Wow.
That's the first time that I was credited for a record that did what it did. So I was on NSYNC's album. We did It Makes Me Ill on the No Strings Attached record, but I wasn't listed as a producer, just additional keys. But that was the first time I was listed as a producer, and that was a big record.
Yeah. That's super dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big record to start off with.
Yeah.
So speaking of when it comes to getting placements and getting records placed, what does the typical process of Focus getting a record placed look like, from either collaboration or creating the beat to it being on an album? Like, how does that process work for you? I imagine it's different than other people.
It is, but the bad thing about it is now it's all different for everybody. It's gonna be whatever your situation and your relationship is that's gonna dictate how smooth or fast or whatever is going to move. You know, a lot of my things are based off of relationship. You know, so I wish it would move quicker. I wish that some of the business was done a lot more fair, but. I've had the pleasure of working with people that I genuinely love, and it becomes a labor of love. And, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and it's those are great. Those are, like I said, I'd rather be proud of it, pushing it outward, than not at all.
Makes sense.
That's cool. Would you, so a producer up and coming now, what would you push them towards? Getting a major deal or going the independent route?
Independent, all day long.
Why so?
Pliability. You can put out a record when you feel like it. I think, and like I said, for the past 2 days, I've been really watching these Prince documentaries. And Prince, we know that he has a vault full of music. And going through the majors, you have to deal with the bureaucracy of a major. And the red tape and the executives and whether they love it or not, or whether they, like, as an independent, bro, you can create your own movement at any given moment. You make money off the first sale or off the first stream or off the, it might be fractions and fractions off a penny, but everything is now, you own your master, you own your entity, you own it all. So why would you want to turn around and just do it for a high interest loan that you'll never be able to pay back?
That's very true.
You'll never be able to pay it back.
It is designed for you not to be able to pay it back.
And the people that pay it back, they just turn around and go back in and get another loan. Like, it's like, dude, you don't turn around and tap out and go, you know what? Like, J. Cole is probably the smartest person I know. Because he turned around and he did what he did. He got his money and he's putting out records. And he's not doing it like at a mass consumption or mass production for mass consumption. Because it feels very focused what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if this returns, all right, let's move to this.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes sense to me. I'm like, okay,
that is sense. True. I feel like one of the few artists that are afforded that luxury because it's a perfect balance between what I would consider business savvy and talent. You know what I mean? And I wonder why more artists don't move in that direction. Like,
you have to be accountable, and you would have to be knowledgeable. And one of those two things are not going to always make it to the table, because at the end of the day, like we said before, when we were talking candidly, you have to be able to stand out in the forefront and take the bullets along with the praises. And if they give you the boos and the cheers, some of them are affected by the boos more than the cheers. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like you turn around and you start kowtowing to people because they're booing you instead of just standing there strong and taking what it is. Critically, you might not get acclaim, but you keep moving forward. Like, I don't understand how certain artists have made it the way they have. But you have to be, there's a level of strength that this industry you have to have to be in it. Like, Lizzo would not be where Lizzo is if she was weak. If she was, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the truth.
Not only is she not weak, but artists like that, they tend to exude a certain type of confidence.
100%.
And you spot them. It's just that star power that certain people have. And but I think people should take that as a cue that not everybody's built for this. You gotta be a certain type of person.
That's, you're now getting into the gatekeepers, and that's a deep conversation.
Right. Somebody asked a question. I think it was Prentice. Shout out to you. He asked a few weeks ago. He asked me a personal question. He's like, "How come you obviously did not go the route of trying to be a super producer, and how come?" And my answer was, I started out like that, like everybody else, but then I started working with two super producers, and I saw the life and what it entails, and I had to be honest, like, I'm not cut out for that.
No.
Like, that is not, like, just looking at that life stressed me the fuck out. Just looking at it. So, and I think self-assessment is real. Like, not everybody is cut out for it. It takes a certain type of person, because everybody in here, I guarantee you, is like, I want to be the next this, and I want to be the next that. And you're thinking about making music and getting awards and all. No, man, that life is something totally different. And I'm like, I know me.
You become slave to the rhythm.
Yes.
You become a literal slave to the rhythm.
And the people you have to deal with. And the shows.
Come on, man. Preach. Yeah.
I would, because I know you see it. I would be in these sessions, and I would just be like, how do you have to deal with this person or these types of people? And it's day in and day out. And then you're in this state and that state and that. I was in this state and that state for 6 years. I traveled with Tim and Polo back and forth. I'd be with one, I'd be with the other, and I'm just all over the place. And I'm like, how the fuck do y'all do this?
Yeah, bro. It can beat you down. And now I understand why I see influential, affluential people jump on a plane and disappear for a minute.
Yeah.
You have to get the energies off of you. You have to get that, you know, I bit my tongue so many months with certain artists that you're just like, you go someplace and just scream. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things. So, yeah, I definitely get that.
Hey, man, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, so I don't want to be no super producer.
Yeah. See? I don't know, man. I think you could though.
No thanks, man.
I think in your own type of way, I think you really could. So speaking of that, are we ever? And I'm asking for a friend. Are we ever gonna get a Focus instrumental album?
What do you mean?
Like a new one? No.
Mm, you know what? No. I've done enough of those, and to me, every time I make a beat, and I'm sure talking to two creatives, you'll understand. When I make a beat, it's like having a baby, and men having babies is way more emotional for a man than it is a woman because men don't have babies. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like just be honest. So I know I've seen my kids born, and I know how I felt, and that brought me to tears. But giving these babies out and people just turning a deaf ear, bro, that I don't have it anymore.
Makes sense.
I don't got it. I don't have it. Like when it does not go anywhere, I'm just like I can't keep it.
That's fair. Well, can you just make one for me so I can listen to it?
Sure. That's no problem. I see you all.
I just want to ride around and listen to Focus beats. I
Send me
mean,
that playlist, please.
No problem.
I'll be on it.
yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact, man.
Problem.
Now, a lot of these people that listen to our podcast specifically, I would say, there are aspiring producers, right?
Yeah.
And it's a big topic of selling beats online versus placements, right? And I feel like now even more that people are trying to draw a line in the sand as far as what you should and what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So as someone who's worked in the industry for years, has been successful, how do you feel like a new producer should approach getting into the industry? If you had to give them advice.
My thing is, there's no right or wrong way, and I hate people that do that.
Right.
Don't do that about something that is it's supposed to be a free expression, right?
Right.
So if it's a free expression, it means that if I can freely find some way to do it,
Right.
you can't tell me it's wrong.
Exactly.
So, like, being honest, if you can get a major placement, great. But if you get on through BeatStars, and BeatStars, that's my homie. Abe is my homie. Like, if Abe is giving these kids a conduit to this industry,
Right.
and they're getting records like Old Town Road and stuff,
Yeah,
like, bro, you can't turn around and negate anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't negate anything. If you haven't tried it and you're just, like, talking and scoffing from the sideline,
Right.
please. I'm so tired of that.
That is true. And it's funny you bring that up because the next question I saw on my phone was I saw you got something going on with BeatStars. Can you talk a little bit more about like what you're doing with them?
That was back in the past. I think I'm gonna get back on there. Like I said, Abe is my homie, and anytime I talk to any new producer, because it's just like, how do I get notoriety? How do I get out there? How is anybody going to hear my music? And I'm like, dude, there's we met through iStandard. You can go to iStandard events. You can go to these conferences, shake a hand, give stuff that does not look like you just wrote on it in the car. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Prepare yourself, but be prepared. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And there's different ways that you can do it, and approach people like a human being. Don't approach them with an attitude because you've been doing this over years and you mad at me because I'm the guy you met 4 years into your struggle and you still struggling in today.
Right.
That's not how you should meet me or Sound Oracle or Treason. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Right.
at the end of the day, shake my hand and let's start from there. And look me in my eye and let's have a
Right.
conversation.
Don't
You know what I'm
respect
saying? Like,
everybody,
yeah,
right.
man. I'm like, bro, I've had so many people like, yo, man, y'all bugging over there. And this, you need to sign me, homie. I'm hot.
Wow. You got that down. You got
No,
that
like,
down.
you know what that is. Like, that's that conversation you look like, really?
Yeah, like I don't think you are.
No.
I'm
If
good
you
to
like
say
it,
I don't think so.
How long you been doing it? 3 years. Still not signed?
That's the dude that come up. You like hip hop?
Right.
You interested in hip hop?
That's a fact. And we've been doing this show for a couple hours, and we did not really shout out iStandard, but then shout out to iStandard and those guys over there, because we did meet at an iStandard event, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That was awesome. So, all right, so
Tell us about. I know you said you got your master class coming up. I want to go in like detail about what it is and like. I know you said Dim Joints is gonna be there.
Yeah.
Khalil, who's
That's Yoda, bro. That's
right,
Yoda, bro.
super fire.
He is everything. You go in the cave, that's Yoda. I just sit down and let him talk to me. Talk me off the ledge, bro. And he gets up and just, his music is amazing.
and I feel like both of you guys, y'all have iconic beat making videos. I feel like it's a handful of early beat making YouTube videos that were just to me
like high tech.
the high
Oh,
tech.
high tech.
It's one with Hannon Lane where he's sampling a water bottle.
Yeah.
The Pharrell Midnight Hour one.
Yeah.
The one with you playing the bass. I love it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you guys, and Khalil has one that I'm just like, every time, bro, I watch it, I'm just like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So what is this masterclass and like how's it gonna go down? What can people expect from it?
One of the main things about my educating new creatives is reintroducing them to creativity. And I think that, and I think we had this candid talk just a little bit. Um, there's so much technical stuff being thrown at them that they don't understand that if it truly is innate, if it's in them, then they just need to start moving forward with it. Just to see what happens.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, if you start setting yourself up to be like the next person, or I need to do it this dB and this, you're already setting yourself up to hit a wall. You haven't even started to touch texture yet. You haven't even started to touch, you know what I'm saying, building a song. A lot of them don't even know how to count bars. You know what I'm saying? They don't even understand pocket. They don't understand why this 808 is rubbing against your bass line. Well, they're not in the same key. You know what I'm saying? It's minor things like that.
Right.
But it's like, okay, let's get into the creative side of things and let's start to gel there. That's, to me, that's the basic foundation. And there's nobody's talking that. Everybody's like, okay, when you go to school, all right, well, the DB's here, and this is how you master and blah, blah, blah. That's great, that's cool. But do you know how to make music? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, cool, you know how to mix my record, but do you know how to make music?
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to talk about.
You just preaching right there. Because I know it's kind of the gift and curse of YouTube.
Yeah.
And other things like that, because I know when I was starting, I'm pretty sure when you were starting, and probably Trizza, even when you were starting, it wasn't a whole, you couldn't just go and Google some shit and just know how and things had to feel right.
Yes.
And now things aren't really based off of feeling, it's very technical. Like, use this, do this. We didn't know. It's like, yo, that shit sound right. That shit don't sound right. Or more importantly, and I had this talk with big homie EA Ski, shout out to EA Ski.
EA,
yeah. When not only do things sound right, do things feel right. And a lot of that, like, and now people who are just starting, it's some people of maybe when we started that lost that because they were able to cling to the technical things. But there's some people now that are just starting and they never get that because they came in on the technical thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's just kind of sad, but I do agree with you that we need to open up a deeper conversation of being creative, not just technically making music, but like
being creative,
which is soul, you know.
And I think that we're dealing with a generation that has been scolded and reprimanded and told what's right and wrong and told that they're wrong and told it comes in defensive already. So how do I sit in front of them and go, no, let's just talk. I don't want to talk to you. You just as old as he was, and he told me that this, that, blah, 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 and so on. So when you start having those conversations and the kids are talking to you like, yeah, I hear you. Listen, I get it. I understand it. Like, now I'm coming in like waving a white flag, like, homie, I'm not one of them. I do come from that, and I look up to them. But we need to talk. Like, none of these records are resonating past 6 months because you only gave me maybe a month and a half of how you felt. Like, there's no story behind it. There's no nothing. You didn't really connect with the artist. You just wrote a song and you sent it to them and they sang it and you put it out. There's nothing else. There's like, how's my soul? So how's my soul supposed to feel anything?
That's real. That is true. Speaking of soul feeling music and things, you're really close with one of my favorite singers, Marsha.
Hey.
Oh, man, tell us a little bit more about, like, cause y'all seem to like have fun and all that good stuff. Yeah. When'd you meet Marsha?
I met Marsha when it was her talks with Dre, right around the time where she got on board at Aftermath. And it was funny because I was in Sony Studios in New York. And I think I was working with Tony Ayo. I don't remember who I was working with. Young Buck. And I was coming upstairs to go do something. I was coming to get something, and I came around the corner, and she was walking by me. And I stood in the hallway and was like, yo, that's Marsha, bro. Like, poetry. Like, I'm amping myself up to say something to her. And I walked over to her and I was just like, yo, Marsha, my name is Focus. She said, Focus. Oh my God, I have a track by you. And I'm like, yo, I was supposed to do all that. Like, so that was our first time meeting. And then when she came out to LA, Dre put her in the studio with me, and we started. We made, like, it literally felt like I met my creative soulmate. Like, literally every time I put up a track, she's like, I got something. I'm like, but Marsha, I literally just turned around and pressed play. It's like, I got it. I got the hook. I got the whole thing. She go in and knock it up. So we started working together for about 6 months, and that's how we got Yours Truly, because that was literally all the work we were doing.
Wow.
And turning in that, yeah, like she is crazy.
That vibe is super evident with her. Like it's super.
It's and very real.
Just know if I ever do meet her in person, I'm gonna act the same way.
Bro,
I have a song with her. She's in my discography. I did a song for King Los, and she's on the song. But I've never met her before. We had this song called Wars, King Los and Marsha. Hey. Never met her, but if I meet her one day, I'll be like, Marsha. Just know.
She's super cool.
Yeah, buddy. Yes, sir.
Let's see. Can you explain at all how and why Dr. Dre uses all those NPCs linked together?
Oh, he doesn't anymore. He doesn't. We used to have. You have to understand that everybody that was in there had a workstation, so we all had our different, hardware, whatever. Right. So each NPC was delegated to a producer, and then the center one that faced the console was his. So if he pressed play on his, the entire room would play.
Yeah.
And it would be linked.
Bruh, it was the greatest shit you got born to see in your life. I used to just go in there and just stand like this. Oh my God.
It was harder then though, because if you had to fix something, you had to you just have to turn off the slave and do it individually. So if you did a small part, you have to remember, okay, right here, all right, cool, and put it in your sequence, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was super dope how the room, it's like crazy to watch it all light up. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was super, it was writers. It was some dude. He always had like 2 guns on him. He was, I don't know who these people were. He had an eclectic group of people, but I used to be like, damn, they fired back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I go back in temps, that's like, yo, step it up. Yeah, we are. They go in the Polo's room. Hey man, you was going on the gym room? We got this some shit.
Bring another ASR in here.
Somebody.
Bring like 4 or 5 of them.
Facts. Oh man. Now I used to get inspired, bro. I used to go all the way back to Atlanta after hearing what Dre and them was doing, and then come back with stuff from Polo and Tim like, all right, now y'all can turn up, and Dre is gonna come in the room like, what is that? But no, most of the time they just went in his room and said, what is that?
That's
He's a godfather, man. He's a godfather.
Someone asked, have you ever done anything for like TV and film?
Yes. Film, I did a song called Club Banger in Drumline.
Ooh, the original Drumline?
Yeah, the one with Nick Cannon.
Okay. Because you know it's another one. I feel like
no, not that one. the Nick Cannon one. And then, like I said, Riding High. I guess you can call Defiant Ones. I did some records on there.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Great documentary.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Whoa.
Did a couple records in there, and then TV like Saints and Sinners. I have some music in there. Smart Guy back in the day.
Oh yeah,
that's classic.
Yeah.
That's the biggest flex in this whole thing. I'm sorry.
Most hype about that
silly.
one, bro.
I was rapping in it though. It's hilarious.
Bro.
Yeah, they wanted a song like Mace, so I was actually like rapping through my teeth and
You know what episode it was? Cause I watched it.
I think it's called Moving with the Bad Boys. It's when they tried to give him his little swag and have his pants.
I remember it. Okay.
And so that whole time when Mo and Jay were dressing him, that rap song was me.
Wow.
I gotta go back and watch it.
Yeah. I wanna.
I know.
It's funny.
I know Everywhere to the Smart Guy theme song. Like.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I can rap it right now, but I don't want to do that.
Not only does he know it, he sings it regularly.
Oh yeah, that's like my shit.
Yeah,
that show was fun though, man.
Yeah, this is regular sing.
Shout out to Jason Weaver too.
Yeah,
Jay out here right now.
For real?
Right now, yeah.
Jeez,
I've been seeing his little clip about the Lion King pop up everywhere.
Yo,
about
so
how he took
turning down the money.
the publishing.
Hey,
Oh, he got new life
Oh man.
because of that.
no, but he told the truth. Like he's definitely. We was something amazing. Like you have to think about his going from Jackson's to Lion King
Yeah,
to like, bro,
crazy
you had
era.
a streak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that's dope.
Yeah. I have another question.
For sure.
Can you get me a show on UBN?
You be.
You black nigga.
I'm still waiting to get my badge. I can't even get in the building yet. Like,
I saw you with a UBN shirt on. I was
Yo,
like,
son.
ooh,
I
I
had-
want one of them shirts.
oh, I bought it. The moment that they put up their merch, oh man, don't even play. Cause I told Fonte, I was like, man, is that badge real? He's like, nah, man, that's not real. I was like, oh, I need something with UBN on it. They put them shirts out.
That's
Yep.
Man, that album, since you're talking about that last Little Brother album, incredible, bro. Incredible. Because it gave a different perspective.
Yeah.
It gave hip hop, it was like it wasn't old, but it was like a mature
Same, yes.
perspective
Yes.
of hip hop. Like my man talking about being in a club
And I
at
wish I was
35.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
real.
like,
Yes.
that's real,
That's
son.
real.
That is real.
I think that they figured out how to write a record to the people that love them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like they didn't negate their fans at all. It's like, bro, we grown.
Mm-hmm.
Homie, I'm not out there throwing bottles up.
I'm into some real life shit
Yeah,
right now.
man. Yeah.
And I knew it was real because when I heard the album, there was a list of people that I was like, bruh, send the Spotify links like, listen to this.
Hey, man. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything. Like, they were just like, man, nobody knows, don't say nothing. Because I was supposed to help them mix it. And I'm actually glad because Fonte stepped in and was like, look, and it's no offense to you, he was like, our sound is different. And he was like, it needs to come out a certain way. And your ears, like, to me, if it has dirt on it, I need to clean it to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, he's like, that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I get it. So I stepped back, but I mixed my two records, and then I did the Work Through Me with the kid, Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot his whole name, but he's super dope.
Goalie.
No, I gotta get his name. I'm sorry, I feel bad, but he killed. And the pocket of the drums made me just do whatever needed to be done. I was just like, dude, he got that. He got it.
Right, like,
That
oh,
was
this is
easy. Yeah.
Bruh, I heard, I'm trying, I go back and forth which is my favorite. What is your favorite out of the two? That you
Black Magic. But everybody, like, I've been getting a lot of love off of Good Morning Sunshine, but I hear stuff in it that I wish it was different.
Do you have it a lot where you hear a record that you've done and you're like, man, I wish I would have changed it?
Yes, but I can't listen to it now.
Mm.
Like, if I listen to anything from that album, I'll listen up to Good Morning Sunshine and maybe skip it. Or I'll just stop and listen to something else, you know what I'm saying? But I can listen to everything up to Black Magic and then skip it and listen to the rest of the album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that album to me is flawless.
Sure.
I just hear stuff in here that I'm just like,
Now, are these things mixing related or production related?
Production related. Like, it's stuff that, like, to me, the way my drums hit, it's something special to me that I hear, and my snare is not right in that song.
Slim, you are tripping. I'm gonna tell you that now.
Nah,
You tripping.
That's not right.
I was hoping you was gonna say something else,
Nah.
like, oh, they put 2 milliseconds of space in the beginning.
Yeah,
There's nothing
nah.
wrong.
Nah.
Especially production wise, there's nothing wrong with
Nah.
either of those songs.
It's the snare.
Yeah, this guy, man.
If it's just, I don't know. What I used a drum loop, and I ghosted the drum loop, and then I put real drums over it,
Mhm.
so I can hear where the snare.
I know what you're talking about.
That texture is it
Mhm.
drives me nuts, bro. Because I'm like, wow, dude, I listened to it over and over again. It didn't sound like that.
Well, it technically doesn't sound like that now. You pointed it out, and I might go back and hear it, but even I'm sure if I could hear it, I'm like,
You're gonna
Nah,
hear
you tripping.
it's literally like that small, but you'll hear
It
it.
always is this small.
Yeah.
And it always doesn't really
Yeah,
matter,
bro.
except for
Woo!
to the person who made it.
Yeah. The moment that it goes, click, click.
Yeah.
That's all. It's that fast.
I feel bad that you can't enjoy.
No,
that,
I love that album.
that song, or like Weekend, because I know that
alright.
feeling.
Do you listen to your records you've done a lot, or you just once you do them, you just kind of keep them pushing?
I listen to like now. I'm listening to my project a lot now, just because. God, pulling back the curtain on this one is going to be very, very vulnerable.
Nice.
So I'm trying to get comfortable with it.
You're
You know
right.
what I'm saying? I'm not comfortable. Even like I walk in this morning, like as we were getting ready to come over here, my wife had it playing and I had to walk out. But it's dope that my wife likes my music, but it's just like, man, I'm still getting. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, okay. It's like, oh, you gotta play it again, huh? You know?
Yeah, like, all right, that's enough. Of
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I told her that. She's like, babe. I'm like, please, like, no. So
Well,
I'm still getting used to it.
Just know whenever it comes out. Listen, when
November 6th.
when my man starts dropping, when he starts dropping the album and stuff, everybody, man, support it,
Please,
share that
man,
shit.
please,
You
please,
know
please.
it's gonna be super fire, man. We,
I'm already excited.
yeah, we gotta support the homie. I can't believe it. My man's singing too. I'm
I'm gonna
all
send it
in.
to you. I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, I'm bro. I'm
gotta keep that.
all in.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Man, please do. So, all right.
Let's see.
Oh, I passed over this question before. We kind of touched on it, but we did not.
Yo, hold on. Before we keep going, the 29, 30 people that are sticking around with us, thank you so much. Because
Oh, yeah.
they are like die hard, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Well, bro, you got the gems.
I don't know what the heck I got, but I'm like, man, they just like, they were like,
Oh, for 2 hours.
Oh,
yeah,
and
like,
YouTube
y'all-
was over here.
Oh, the YouTube. Don't forget about YouTube.
oh,
We
you
just
too.
said,
Yeah, y'all, come on, thank
Yeah,
you. But
bro.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, no,
That's very impressive. That is amazing.
Oh man, they rock, man.
They
It's,
die hard,
look at
man.
them
That's what's
praying
up.
emojis and spam them hearts for young Focus 3dots, man.
I
Let them
appreciate
know.
y'all, man.
Let them know. So, okay, coming from your first like real piece of gear being like a prophet and all that stuff. Coming out of that age, now we're in the digital age. What are some of your favorite plugins, like synth or piano plugins? Because you have high standards, and you don't have to give away no like crazy
Oh,
secret
man.
sauce or nothing.
There's no such thing as secret sauce.
Ooh.
Because I can give you the exact recipe. You will never make one that tastes like mine.
Ain't gonna taste like mama's.
Ain't gonna taste like
Pull my
mine.
notes right now.
Omnisphere 2, monster. Keyscape, monster. What else do I use? It's from Silence.
Oh, classic.
I like that one. The new Massive is stupid. Yeah, it's brand new. It's dope. And there's a lot of stuff in Contact. The new Contact. That came from I'm a big fan on stuff sounding real. They have this Session Horns Pro.
Yeah.
Out of this world.
Really?
Out of this world.
We were just talking about people not being able to get horns,
Right.
VSTs right unless it's cinematic. So I gotta check that out.
No, that one is dope. It's like if you want to do like a Earth, Wind, and Fire type, real sticky.
Oh.
Yeah, you can dial right in on that. You can dial in on that, and I can show you some songs I did with it. And also, there's another plugin that Bluetooth would have to tell you about, but he actually uses a mouthpiece and blows into it, and it sounds
The
exactly.
homie Obscure 8 was telling me about that. I forget the name of it. He was telling me about that too.
It's no, it sounds. There's no like if
Oh,
the
wow.
person can play,
Yeah.
you would never know that they're not on a horn. That's how. Yes,
Yeah, he was telling me about it, and I was like,
It's actually
I can't
scary.
wait to-
it's actually scary.
That is wild.
Have you ever? Do you mess with any of the stuff from Arturia?
Of course. Yes.
Yeah, Arturia.
I got the bundle for them, and that the Vox. I like their Vox.
Yeah.
Their Vox is dope.
Yeah. I love Analog Lab is really my go-to
Super dope.
because it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
like
it's all right there. Yeah.
right there. Yeah, and then another slept on company is UVI.
It's not stuff. Okay, I like UVI.
Mm-hmm.
I love their what do you call it? Their interface.
Yeah.
It just takes a long time for it to load up, and when I start moving,
You want to go?
I want to go. Like their sounds are big, bro. Like it's.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be watching that thing go up. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, UVI is kind of like it's kind of like Omnisphere in its own right. It's like Omnisphere beats what's that shit? Reactor, where it's just a whole bunch of different
stuff,
meets
yeah.
Contact, meets all that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty dope. And then that person, I asked about the plugins, but somebody wanted to know like plugin wise. I know you use a lot of Waves stuff.
Waves that's Waves and Isotope are my go-to. Those are my parentheses. None of them know me. So Isotope, everything. Waves, everything. I love Sound Toys.
Mm-hmm.
I use a lot of like Liberator and Effectrix and stuff like that because I like the glitchy stuff. And then I like the glue. Have you ever heard of that? The compressor. I like that.
Yeah. You know, Ableton has they've got with them and they have a version and that comes with Ableton like built into it.
I wouldn't know because I don't use Ableton.
No one's perfect. You know.
Oh, you know that was a good one. No, but there's a lot. And then halftime, whoever makes halftime, what is it? Cable guys, yeah. And I love their stuff too. Like I use their panner. And
yeah, they've been making good stuff since like the early 2000s. People just didn't know. I remember they had a VST called Curve.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I got that.
And there's the first bass on there. It's called like Circle or something. I used that bass for like 3 years. That was my go-to bass. Yeah, they started making the real-time reverse joint and all that. Cable guys, I was when people got put on to them, I'm like, y'all late to the party, bro.
Yeah. But I love the fact because there's the stuff that I love from them. It's all sound manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that MIDI shaper and all that stuff. Like I'm like, bro, that thing is
filter box and all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They make some great that's the stuff that I gravitate to.
Yeah, like anything that's gonna take the sound and then just
make it my own.
Go ahead, yeah.
So you prefer those? If you had to pick between a synth VST and then something that will manipulate a sample,
I would always go for the effects first. I'm always you can take a sine wave and make it anything you want.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So I would rather have more effects and less VSTs than
Gotcha. Oh yeah, 100%, bro.
Yeah.
Gotcha. 100%. There's a company I want to put you on to. I honestly can't remember the name. I got it over there.
Okay.
You would like them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and I don't want to cut y'all off, but Instagram's about to kick us off again.
Again?
Oh man, it's about to be over with.
Well,
Young Focus.
Any plugs, my brother?
November 6th, SWFIJN. It will be out. And the Fader class, November 9th. Fader's up. My master class in Los Angeles. And thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Keep doing this, man. Please keep doing this.
Oh, we will, man.
You guys are the reason why there's conversation. You know what I'm saying? And it's a different level of conversation. So I just appreciate you guys.
Man.
And where can people follow you, man?
At Focus, the number 3 DOTS across all medias, and I'm only on 2.
Yeah, so go follow him. If you can't type, just go to my last post or Triz's last post and click on his name and go follow him. However you got to do it, man. Follow him, support his stuff when it comes out. Also, real quick, if you haven't already, hit soundoakland.net. Check out the new Reckless series, Reckless Wave and Reckless Drums. Me and Billboard Hitmakers on the Reckless Wave, me on the drums. And yeah, just check it out. Something to do this weekend.
And the producerkit.com, get Subculture 3. And then me and Oracle got Halloween joint is on the way.
Yeah, you know, every year we got to do a free kit for y'all for Halloween. Yeah. And it just got mixed today.
I heard it, Realistic mixing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fire. The mixes are fire. Yeah, we got some stuff coming. The year ain't over with. Yeah.
We got work to do.
Oh.
I don't know what that was.
Damn. What happened? Somebody.
Was that my computer?
Yeah, that was you, bro.
That was you, bro.
I ain't never heard that in my life.
on your stomach. I don't know.
That's it.
I ain't never heard that one.
All right, so we out here on Instagram, YouTube. It's been real.